I would have learned storytelling so much earlier. I would have learned how learning to really engage with the customer through the art of storytelling could deepen their connection with the company and the brand. The one part of that I did do well is positioning. I loved that we were positioned as the high-priced product, the highest quality, we had the most health licenses and credentials, all of those things. We did great.
You're listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news, the bad news about entrepreneurship. Here's your host, Tyler Jorgenson.
Most people think once you scale your business that you've made it. But the truth is, even a successful business can have blind spots. I made a lot of mistakes that cost me not just money, but also time and energy and opportunities that I didn't even realize I was missing. Some of them still sting to this day. The first mistake that I made was creating just a business and not a brand. You see, I had built this business really just to replace my income after the financial crash. And so I wasn't thinking long term. I was just like, how can I pay the bills? And although that's okay, I had to pay the bills. That was what was needed. Once it started to take off, I should have thought about this as a bigger thing. Instead of just focus on how do I sell a product, I could have built a brand that sold other products too. And that brand could have been something that people really wanted to connect with and saw as an expert, but everything was built around just one product. So what would happen is anytime we wanted to launch a new product, we had to build an entirely new business. We'd launch get a new domain, build out a new website, new logos, new design. And instead of just creating one strong parent company or one strong brand. So here's what I would do differently. For sure, I wouldn't hide. I would build a business that I was willing to show up in. A great example of this is Snow Teeth Whitening and Josh. Don't know how to say his last name, but Josh over at Snow has built his personal brand and Snow Teeth Whitening simultaneously. And I think he does a brilliant job. And even though Snow started with just a single product, they now have multiple other products under the Snow brand all around oral healthcare. I would have learned storytelling so much earlier. I would have learned how learning to really engage with the customer through the art of storytelling could deepen their connection with the company and the brand. The one part of that I did do well is positioning. I loved that we were positioned as the high-priced product, the highest quality, we had the most health licenses and credentials, all of those things. We did great. The second mistake that I made was not leveraging my network soon enough. I still tried to do everything on my own. I felt like I couldn't ask people for help because they were either going to steal from me or maybe I was going to be embarrassed about the product I was selling. But I started going to events and I started networking more, and I started going to things like Direct Response Expo and learning about direct response ads, which are like infomercials if you don't know what direct response ads are. And I started networking more and more and learning about the industry, but I wasn't curious enough. I wasn't asking questions. Maybe I was curious but not vulnerable. I needed to ask the questions from a position of I'm looking for help. I'm not an expert here. I'm just learning this. And I think at that age, when I was in my 20s, I thought that I was supposed to be further along, and I thought that I was supposed to have all the answers. But if I was to do it again, I would just step into everything with way more humility and just say, man, I'm new to e-commerce. I'm new to supplements. I'm new to this type of retail. Man, what do you know that would help me? Like, what lessons did you learn that would help me move faster? And the irony is when I launched Biz Ninja Entrepreneur Radio, those were the questions I started to ask. I was like, hey, what failures and what mistakes have you made in your business? And what have you done to overcome them? And I started to ask those questions. But man, I wish I'd asked those questions earlier in this new business. My mistake number 3 and 4 go really hand in hand, because sticking with one revenue stream for too long in the business that was thriving, while also getting distracted, mistake number 4, by shiny objects. So whenever those new opportunities would come that didn't fit into the core business, that meant it was taking my limited time away from making the core business more profitable. One of the great things about the business is that it gave me more time freedom, and I was able to get back into the gym and start working out. And I found CrossFit and I absolutely loved it. I lost weight. I got back in shape. I was doing things I hadn't done since I was a college wrestler. And it was really, really cool until I ended up getting invited and asked to start a business in that industry. So I had my main business, the supplement company, that was very profitable and doing really well. And it only took me 4 to 10 hours a week to really focus on growing. And then I started spending 20, then 30, then 40, sometimes 50, 60 hours a week running this other business in the CrossFit world. So we created an equipment company and then started opening other gyms. And although I loved it and I was passionate about it, there wasn't a clear path for cash for me. There wasn't, I wasn't asking the hard questions. I wasn't making sure to make it sure this was strategic for me. And it was a lower level opportunity than the other thing I was doing. But I put my heart and soul into it. I just didn't get money back out of it. And so the mistakes 3 and 4 can kind of go hand in hand. That in your business, you can stay with one revenue stream for too long. And then when you look for the second revenue stream, it needs to fit into that business, because it's really hard to run 2 or 3 businesses that are at early stage growth at the same time. It's different if something is off and running and thriving. And so what I would do differently if I was doing this exact business again is I would look for other traffics. First, I would go deep in the product that I did have. I would try to find all of the ways that I could sell more of that product. There's a saying once that internet marketers, a lot of times what we do is we'll find something successful, and let's say it's working really well on Google Ads, and then instead of taking that show on the road, we go and start a new show. And this story was shared once by Russell Brunson when he was saying that somebody was like, it compared it to producing a huge Broadway play. They go through all the work of writing the play and casting the play and producing the play. Then they have a great opening night and everyone throws flowers and they're all excited. And instead of then just continuing to take that show on the road, so okay, it's thriving in Broadway, let's take that show and let's put it in LA and let's put it in London, right? Instead of taking the show on the road, they say, that was awesome, let's do it again. And they start over and start a new show. And that's what I did. I got distracted, and instead of taking the show on the road and saying, okay, this product is thriving on Google Ads, instead of saying, well, would it thrive on programmatic ads? Would it crush it on, we did do some Facebook ads, but would it thrive in affiliate marketing or joint ventures, or what other opportunities I have to make this exact same product just sell 5, 10, 20 times more? And then as I look for the next thing, when I start to go wide, I would look for complementary products that I can sell to the exact same list and that I can sell to the same people, because it's a lot easier to just increase your business, adding a little bit more complexity into your business with new products and complementary products than it is to start an entirely new company. And so those are some of the mistakes that I did. And I think the big thing is I needed to learn to say no, because just because a good opportunity is being put in front of you does not mean it's the right opportunity or that you have to say yes. And I think at this point of life, and what I can say back to younger me, is that you have to learn to say no to the good opportunities so you can be ready for the great ones. All of these mistakes had one thing in common. I was still underdeveloped in my thinking as a business leader. And in the next episode, I'm going to share with you one mindset shift that happened to me that changed everything, and for the first time allowed me to grow multiple businesses without having to work more, increasing my freedom and continuing to fuel the life of my dreams. So my wish for you is that you learn from those 4 mistakes that I went through and don't make them. A wise man learns from the mistake of others. So learn from my mistakes, and it's your turn to go out and do something.